What we into an episode of Futurama where Fry eats like egg salad sandwich from a gas station vending machine,
and he gets tapeworms that then
make him a genius. That's what you were going for. If you're just tuning in, Rob had a sandwich from a bathroom that he found.
All right, see that I told you that in confidence.
Oh, that was in confidence.
Well, now the fucking cat's out of the bag.
You know what? We don't have time.
I'm that motherfucker eating sandwiches in the bathroom.
We don't have time to explain the ham sandwich from the bathroom story.
Okay.
If you hit us up on patreon.com/whatweinto and throw us $1, I'll send you a story. I'll make Rob write it. The bathroom ham
write you
sandwich.
An account of the bathroom ham
you're
sandwich.
only going to get it if you send us $1.
We're holding that story hostage. It's worth it because it's equal parts amazing and equal parts sad. So I'll let you decide.
We have 2 movies to talk about this week.
All right, why don't you start first? Because
you want to go Joker first, or
I think you should, because that was the one that was the one that we had initially made this week about. I'm only tagging Hustlers on because I had been talking about seeing Hustlers for the last couple podcasts.
Arthur, I have some bad news for you. This is the last time we'll be meeting.
You don't listen, do you? You just ask the same questions every week. How's your job? Are you having any negative thoughts? All I have are negative thoughts.
And finally, in a world where everyone thinks they can do my job, check out this guy.
When I was a little boy and told people I was going to be a comedian, everyone laughed at me. Well, no one's laughing now.
You can say that again, pal.
And there's so much stuff out there about the Joker.
Right.
You know, there's just so much press.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it had the largest opening for a movie in October.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Hustlers had that moniker when it opened.
Right.
It had the largest October opening date for a movie in October until the Joker. But based on all the fuckery surrounding this movie, like it was inevitable that it was going to be a windfall for the box office, even if the movie was just meh.
Yeah. Well, and
I think those numbers will taper.
A lot of what has been touted as controversy is also now being exposed as fake.
What do you mean?
That they've kind of drummed up this controversy on purpose.
What controversy? What was the controversy?
Well, there was Todd Phillips talking about woke culture and saying that he couldn't, that you can't make comedy movies anymore, because people take offense to that.
You think he was trolling the?
I don't know if that could have just been his real perspective. There was Joaquin Phoenix walking out of that interview that after seeing the Joker was a fair question in any realm of reality. Right. Do you think this movie could possibly inspire violence?
We talked about in the podcast, and I was like, "There's no way that he was not prepared."
Yeah,
there was
now
no way that his people
movie.
didn't let him know that this question might come up based on the fact that motherfuckers that look like you have shot up movie theaters based on.
Right.
This character.
There was the Jimmy Kimmel interview where he showed that little segment, which I defended and was like, if this is an actor who thinks that he's working in private and doesn't want his process shown to the public, I think that's the wrong step. That turned out to be fake.
Yeah, he. Well, see,
here's what I just said. But that was fake. He faked that little thing. For Todd Phillips, and then gave it to Jimmy Kimmel, and then later was like, and then pretended on Jimmy Kimmel,
he was offended by the
Yes,
see, but
pretended he was offended.
Here's a guy who
and upset by it.
Who has set a precedent with being like "fuck you" to the media and basically trolling people like that. Like I watched that. I started watching that documentary he made here.
Yeah,
last week.
I'm still here.
So he already had a precedent of being like. Trolling people in this way.
Perhaps joking. Think about it. It's kind of interesting. The Joker is a bit of an anarchist. He's a chaotician. He creates You know, these situations that you never know what's real and what's not. Even his backstory. What is the Joker's backstory?
Which is one of the best things about, I guess, the film that holds up.
It sort of does. It sort of doesn't. The bad thing about knowing a definitive backstory from watching The Joker is that The Joker never had a definitive backstory. Right. Heath Ledger's character in The Dark Knight really latches onto that. And that's why his story changes every single time. Right. You know? The Killing Joke gives... Alan Moore's The Killing Joke gives a version of the Joker.
Of it, yeah, where...
But even that he talks about having conflicting memories in it.
Right.
He doesn't even know what the truth is.
I prefer the mythos that we don't know his backstory. Yeah. I prefer it. Even in the 1989 Burton Batman, where we get sort of a definitive. It was okay.
I mean, that's an interesting conversation too that I want to get to, because I want to talk about the difference between does the Joker need Batman to be the Joker? You know?
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. And there's no Batman obviously in the Joker. I don't think that's a spoiler. Yeah. So. Do we want to do spoilers or non-spoilers? We're just going to do spoilers.
I think just spoilers, because
we don't have a lot of time for this.
And it's not that deep. This, at least the parts that I was awake for.
Yeah. So set in 1981, party clown Arthur Fleck lives with his mother Penny in Gotham City. Gotham is rife with crime and unemployment, leaving segments of the population disenfranchised and impoverished. Arthur suffers from a disorder that causes him to laugh at inappropriate times and depends on social services for medication. After a gang attacks him in an alley, Arthur's co-worker Randall lends him a gun, and Arthur invites his neighbor, single mother Sophie, to a stand-up comedy show, and they begin dating. And so forth and so forth. Right? So it's a general idea is that he's this mentally ill man who's unrecognized, mentally ill white man who's unrecognized.
In 1980s Gotham,
which is New York. It's New York. There was a
okay, go ahead.
Well, there's the trash strike. Actually happened. In fact, and I haven't heard a lot of this, and I meant to do research on this, and I'll look it up later. But there was a white guy in a subway who blew away
motherfuckers away. Yeah.
Not just motherfuckers, black motherfuckers
guys. Yeah,
away.
I remember these.
And people stood up and cheered for that. Not stood up, but they cheered throughout the media. And they said, "Good for him for standing his ground, for taking." And it was questionable.
See,
if those men deserved to die,
right? And see,
from this vigilante.
Here's what this movie sort of illuminated for me. It wasn't so much that the Joker was, this loner or like it wasn't all that things that you would think would be promoting that incel kind of way of thinking. What it kind of illuminated to me was that the treatment of mentally ill people based on race. Because if Arthur Fleck was a black guy, if the Joker's character, if Arthur Fleck, that character who mentally lived with his mom and depended on social services for his medication, he would not have incited a city to uprise. Yeah. He would have been broomed to the side.
He created a social movement.
Right.
The social movement grew out of his actions.
Right.
And I don't know if you were doing this, but when I was watching that last scene, when there's that whole big riot, I was looking, and they had masks on, but I'm looking at people's hands. I'm trying to determine
who is rioting?
Yeah.
Who are these rioters?
And I'll say the majority of these rioters, the social movement that's
don't look
taking
like
over the city, they were pretty pale skinned, or at least
they could have been Puerto Rican. We don't know. They had masks on. So
that's true.
But then you want to talk? You want to talk a little bit more about it? Because honestly, I showed up. I saw this movie kind of desperately because I thought we were meeting at one movie theater, and it turned out we were moving at another movie theater. So I started watching the top of this movie somewhere else, and then quickly had to jump into a cab and shoot over to the place where I was supposed to meet you at.
Right.
So there's a couple sections that I missed, coupled with the fact that I had been up all night the night before.
It's not because of the cab. Right?
There were struggles in me seeing this picture in its totality.
My struggle with the picture is I was sitting there, I'm watching it, and I'm like, this feels pretty cool and interesting. I like where this is going. And all of a sudden, this dude started snoring.
Oh yeah, I was definitely snoring in parts of it. I was asleep in parts of it, but like I think that's attributed.
It put you to sleep.
It put me to sleep.
Yeah.
It put me to sleep.
I also fed you because there's one of those movie theaters. We saw this at the Nighthawk Cinema. They feed you. I gave him mini corn dogs, ladies and gentlemen. I gave him beer.
I was starving. So
French fries.
I basically came in, was starving, had some eats, started watching a film that was sort of entertaining. Like this, honestly, everything that Joaquin was in it.
Yeah.
If this was a study in like an acting class and watching a character or an actor prepare a character in a really strong and confident and profound way, because the acting work in it is great.
Yeah, it's superb.
It's great.
Yeah.
It just kind of falls down for me in the story and its message and in this sort of storytelling of the Joker.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, man. I felt like a character like the Joker should have been relatable to everyone,
right? Not
just one swath of motherfuckers. And I think that's what.
Who are those motherfuckers? You mean comic book people?
No.
Who are you talking about?
I'm reluctant to say it because I say this a lot on. I feel like lonely young white guys.
Because that was not the audience makeup when we were there.
No, it wasn't.
No.
I feel like the way this movie kind of sets it off, it make like I could see why like the NYPD were undercover in certain select movie theaters to sort of like police this movie, because it kind of is kind of like
it's a new version of Taxi Driver.
Yeah, it's Taxi Driver meets King of Comedy in a way.
It's a disgruntled white male who feels unrecognized by society,
and he's gonna change that through these actions. And then he does, and the society comes with him and praises him for it.
He creates a social movement accidentally. He doesn't do it deliberately.
I don't know if that's the message that we need right now.
In fact, it's not even really so much a message, because there's nothing that he really stands for other than he wants to be recognized. Right. What is his principles? What is his morals? What is his political movement beyond?
I want to not be invisible.
Yeah. And it's even unsure if that's the case when he tells his social worker, "You're not even listening to me."
Right.
I'm not even sure that at that moment I believed that was true.
You know what? I think it was. I think it was. I think a lot of the motivations for what motivated him were right and were natural, but I don't think we need to be lifting mental illness, especially in white men, to this. This level. I feel like it runs a slippery slope of being like, if you're mentally ill and you go and see something like this, I'm just saying, me just extrapolating,
right?
He feels the same way that I feel, and his actions are rewarded by this social uprising. Right. Then maybe I should. This is somebody who's mentally ill, mind you. This is me being hyperbolic in that situation, but it serves to do that, I think. I mean, if video games cause all this ruckus, why wouldn't a movie where a mentally ill white man who starts blowing people away, then turns into a revolution? Why wouldn't someone think that, especially in this country where we know we have an epidemic of motherfuckers like this who do shit like this?
Right.
Why would we want to then make this glorification of it? I mean, maybe not even glorification is the wrong word.
I don't know if it's glorified, but what are the consequences of his actions? He ends up in a mental institution. It's highly suggested he kills the woman that's interviewing him at the end.
Right.
And then he dances out of the room, smiling.
Right. With the blood prints.
With the blood prints, right. And then is followed by two guards, still smiling as he runs away. So, yeah, we know that he's mentally ill, but he doesn't really seem to regret any of his actions. And so it doesn't really feel as if there's any real mental consequences for him. He's kind of happy that he did his thing, happy that he killed those guys on the train, happy that he killed Robert De Niro's character, Martin Freeman? Is that? No, that's the actor.
That's the actor.
That's the Hobbit.
Like, you want to kill Martin Freeman, bro?
No, I don't know. I love the Hobbit. Are you kidding? It's The Office. I love the
Martin Freeman was also in Underworld. People seem to forget that.
Martin Freeman was in Underworld with the vampires and zombies?
Vampire and werewolves.
Vampire and Werewolves. Yeah,
he was the Lycan. He was the king of the Lycans.
Oh, I'm going back. I'm watching it again. It's
been a while.
It's been a long time.
Oh man.
So the movie kind of has this like socio political commentary,
yeah.
Sort of. It's light. The idea for me is like, does this movie hold up as a superhero movie, or does this movie hold up as a standalone movie on its own? It doesn't quite do either one.
It's not a superhero movie, and I don't think it's a standalone either. Yeah, I like when someone asked me earlier on if I saw this movie, and I said yeah, and they asked me what I thought about it. My opinion, based on all the factors that I said, was basically
yeah.
It was more like a shoulder shrug emoji, whereas.
When Murray Franklin, that's the Robert De Niro's character. Sorry.
We had been talking about this movie on the podcast, for weeks up until its release, and every week you'd ask me, what do you thought? Right. And I would always say cautiously optimistic,
right,
or cautiously hopeful, because all the elements were there. But I feel like if you're not going to tell a Joker story with that at least parallels a Batman story, it's gonna be hard to toe, even with the greatest of the actor like Joaquin.
Right.
Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to talk about in news. Do you hear your boy Leto? You hear what apparently Jared Leto? Apparently Jared Leto was in
previous Joker.
Yeah. Apparently he was in his feelings about is it Paramount? Whatever the studio that made this picture. Leto felt a ways because of them wanting to do a solo picture with the Joker with Joaquin in it.
Right.
Just actor bullshit. Another reason why his Joker sucks, and I don't like that dude.
Yeah, he took that kind of like gangster sort of like.
Well, it was
contemporary.
Did you hear the kind of shit he was pulling on set?
Oh yeah, well that's what I'm saying. Because I was talking about Joaquin Phoenix has done some of these quote-unquote pranks, or if you want to define them as that, by sort of like manipulating the media into creating this controversy or faux controversy.
Yeah,
so a lot of people go to the movies.
But it was always in service of the picture.
Right. I think a lot of the Jared Leto stuff, like sending used condoms and that,
and like sending dead rats to people and things like that.
I think that stuff was also publicized in the attempts to try to drum up controversy.
Yeah,
for that movie, and it just didn't do it.
One...
What was that? Are we talking about Suicide Squad?
Yeah, we're talking about Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
One, that movie wasn't about the Joker.
No.
Not at all.
No. He
had maybe like a 3-4 minute cameo in it at best. So for him to go to the lengths that he was going to... Like, it would have made more sense if his role had been as large as, Heath Ledger's in The Dark Knight or something like that.
Yeah.
But he was a cameo at best, and for you to feel a ways based on a shitty performance that was this big in a picture that wasn't about you.
Yeah,
I don't want to fuck with that dude. That dude seems like he's on some different shit in a way that, like, I've seen you do stuff that is fine, like Lords of War, or the one he did with Nicolas Cage. That was a pretty decent outing for him, but. Other than like a handful of times where I could be like, that was a good performance from him, I don't really fucks with that guy.
Yeah. I think the problems with his character, for me, can be summed up. His portrayal of the Joker, and this is not entirely his choice, but when you have...
You think he was directed to do that?
Well, when you have like "ha-ha" tattooed on you, like, to me, it's like his Joker is aware of the Joker mythos.
Right.
You know what I mean? Aware of who that character is in society. Right. Whereas previous Jokers are just Joker. They're their own versions. His version was aware that Joker is this thing in our current society. So beyond whether it was acted well or not,
it felt put on.
Yeah, it was put on. But I don't know if that's necessarily Jared Leto's fault as an actor. I think that's the entire production behind Jared Leto's portrayal of the character. He comes in, he's just an actor. Here's the words that he reads. Here's a costume designer that comes in and says...
You don't think he had any input into how
he probably
how the final iteration of that character kind of...
That's 100% true that he did not, because there was all of these edits and these outtakes that they never used that he talks about consistently. They didn't use this, and I wanted them to use this, and yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? So he definitely didn't have any kind of overall creative control over the character. He could act it and portray it, but if he did not want to have "ha ha" tattooed on him, do you think that he could go and say, "Hey, I don't want this on me. I don't think this represents the character"?
Yes,
I think he could try.
Absolutely, I think he could.
Yeah,
absolutely no. I think if he didn't want him to be portrayed the way that he ended up being portrayed, I think he would have. I think the product that we got of his portrayal in that movie was exactly the portrayal that he wanted. Mm-hmm. I think once it came out and he realized that people shat all over it, then he was like, "Oh no!" But there was other shit that we shot. Have we seen any of this stuff? Is it in like DVD extras or anything?
It's probably out there, but why would we want to?
But I mean, because then we could verify his story, at least his claims. We could verify. He was like, no, I wanted to make it like this, and here's the proof. Like, if we could go to the film,
right?
Then, because he's basically like you saying that he's saying that, oh, we shot all this stuff and they didn't use it. That's why this portrayal looks the way it looks. But if if that's the case, then let me see that. It might change my opinion of you and of what you did. But for me, it felt to me like it felt masturbatory. It felt like, because the Joker is one of those characters where you can go to the extreme, you can go to the edges and be out there and it be considered, par for the course. Mm-hmm. And I think he reveled in that in the way that was just masturbatory for him, but not in the service of the character. Does that make sense?
Sure, 100%. It's also a Joker that because he's not the star of the movie, he's not the star villain of the movie. We don't even get
like to be though. That's what I got from it. That's all the hype that was surrounding that movie. What I got from it was that he wanted to be the villain of that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Because everything that was coming out of the camp then was about his portrayal of the Joker. And like I said, the Joker wasn't even his movie.
He was the first. Jared Leto was the first actor after Heath Ledger to pick up the mantle of the Joker character.
So I guess that
which previously had been picked up by Jack Nicholson.
I guess that in and of itself was enough to garner that level of like veracity from the media to be like, well, he's doing it now and he's a weirdo and blah 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 blah. Anyway, so I want to talk a little bit, unless you're done with Joker, I want to talk a little bit about Hustlers.
We still got this. There's a few more things I want to go.
All right.
Just a few more minutes. Because last night I watched The Killing Joke, right?
The animated one.
The animated one. I'd read the comics, but I had never seen the it only came out a few years ago.
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, so I just kind of missed it. And it was...
didn't we? No. Because I feel like I brought it up on the podcast, because it came out a couple years ago, but it was one of those that, like, I brought up when we were initially doing this. I was like, The Killing Joke. Mm-hmm. I want to say, if not last year, the year before.
Yeah.
But I caught it, but like the same way with you, I kind of missed it and I caught it recently. But anyway.
So you've seen it.
I have.
Yes.
It's faithful.
It is.
Very faithful to the comic.
A very good, I think, interpretation of the Joker. And that's Alan Moore, right?
Yeah, that's Alan Moore.
I think, what did he write, in 1998?
Yeah.
Like, it's super old.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like...
Damn, that motherfucker said 98 was super old.
God, it is, though. I mean, it's, I was 18. You were 17.
Oh, shit.
It is a very important stepping stone to how we understand and we look at what the Joker character is today.
Right. Right.
It also sort of established this really interesting idea of both the Joker and Batman being divorced from a reality.
Also, I think it's one of the first and only times you see Batman laugh.
Yeah.
With the Joker.
With the implied ending that he
told me a joke.
He told a joke.
It was funny, and we could have probably been friends.
But the idea is it's the killing joke. So it's the joke that
kills him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So does he kill the Joker at the end? It's implied. If he doesn't...
It's interesting because then once you get to like The Dark Knight Returns, the Frank Miller thing where Batman actually does...
Literally kills him. Yeah.
It's fuck.
Yeah.
Gnarly shit.
And I think why, for me, I appreciated that in that comic, or still do appreciate it, is it's supposed to be this older Batman, older Joker. This is like the idea of the end of their stories. Mm-hmm. And finally the Joker gets Batman to kill him.
Right.
Not to laugh, to kill him. Idea of what the Joker wants. The Joker wants Batman to kill him.
Nah, I do. So you think, like, when the credits roll, like, when the last panel of that comic is Batman and Joker laughing together.
Yes.
Do you think, like, if this was the movie and the credits roll, if there was like a post-credit scene, Batman kills Joker then?
Yeah.
You think so?
The Joker does not continue to laugh. The Joker stops laughing.
See,
Batman continues to laugh. His hand slowly sort of moving up towards the Joker's
and you think
throat.
I don't think he does.
Okay, that's just an interpretation. But you can agree that one of Joker's main themes is, and the whole idea of what the Killing Joke is trying to push Commissioner Gordon to madness.
Yep.
The idea of like
one bad day.
One bad day.
Yep.
That's all anybody needs is one bad day.
Yep.
Was that idea present in anything that happened in this Joker movie?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have one bad day.
No, he has several.
He has several bad days.
Yeah,
he has a bad life.
Which is, the life of most motherfuckers who are, mentally ill, poor, disenfranchised.
Right.
So,
right.
Several bad days.
Bad days.
But, we don't run up in schools and theaters and shoot up motherfuckers.
So what is the Joker's overall motivation?
See, I think that's why I liked The Killing Joke the best, because based on that Joker's backstory, that history, it makes the most sense to me that this would be the outcome of somebody like that.
Right.
Like, fledgling comedian, pregnant wife, who then subsequently gets murdered or killed and thing, but then you get forced into this robbery that then disfigures you. Like, all the, like, even if that's not his actual origin story, it would, for me, it made me empathize with the Joker. It was one of the first stories though where I was like, I get why a motherfucker would. It's basically falling down. It's Michael Douglas's falling down, but on a more grand and visceral scale. So like, I feel like The Killing Joke for me gave, even though like we've already previously discussed that we don't know if that is actually Joker's backstory. For me, it was the one that I equated to him. I was like, this is the one that I believe would make the most sense.
Right.
To spawn this level of psychosis and mania in a person.
Right. Whereas in The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger's Joker has competing anecdotes about where he came from.
Right. Which I can honestly see being like a coping mechanism for the loss of a wife and a family and all of that potential. Right. Like, my story changes every time I tell it because I'm so broken by this loss that what The Killing Joke did for the Joker was humanize him for me, in a way that no previous story, no previous writer had ever managed to do for me. Not Frank Miller, not any of the greats who'd ever written Joker, mythos and stories. Alan Moore was able to humanize the Joker for me in a way that made me feel for him. I was like, fuck yeah. Then I would try to make I would cripple Commissioner's daughter and try to make him go insane just to prove my point, to be like, see, if it happened to you, if it happened to me this way, I'm going to prove that it can happen to you.
Yes, that's me that's the most important aspect that kind of runs through most of the Jokers, is the idea that if I can just get you to do the things that I do, then all of the things that I have done are justified.
Right.
Because
which is why I don't think that at the end of The Killing Joke, Batman would actually kill Joker, because that would make him like him. And one of the things that Batman has always he will never toe that line.
Good point.
Until we get The Dark Knight Returns, where he actually does like, oh my god!
Yeah.
I remember reading that panel and being like,
and Frank Miller's dark like that. But really, like, The Killing Joke also sets up like this, almost like this Star Wars sense of like the light side versus the dark side. Even though Batman's dark, the Joker's much darker.
I love, and that's why I love Batman so much, because you're right. It is the classic light versus dark, but under the guise of, he's called the Dark Knight. It's so like meta in these like completely obvious ways. I don't know.
So in 1989, Batman, Nicholson and Keaton, it's revealed that the Joker kills Batman's parents and creates Batman. Right. And then Batman later comes...
Which is good for the story, but...
And finds... Well, it's kind of interesting, because then later Batman finds Nicholson and drops him into that vat, or accidentally causes him to drop into that vat and creates the Joker.
But at that, he doesn't know that that's the guy who's at that point.
But they've created each other. There's like an interesting mirroring to that I think is cool. Yeah. You know,
but yeah, it served in those movies, like the 1980 Batman. It serves on so many levels, because even though that it wasn't true to sort of like the mythos of the creation of those characters, it told a really cogent story based on, you saw how exactly what you said, how like they created each other.
Right.
It makes sense that telling that story. I feel like that's where this movie, The Joker, fell down, and it's, you know. I mean, if you're going to create the Joker, I feel like you got to tell that story in line with Batman, and they kind of do,
right?
Tertiarily with like because because the Joker's character has elicited this social response. That's the people that adhere to it have now killed Bruce Wayne's parents,
right? And
that in turn is how he creates Batman. But I feel like it's less tertiary and more direct.
Yes.
If this movie was gonna be really successful, those two beliefs, those two ideologies had to be in direct contact with each other, not tertiary contact.
Just as in The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger,
yes,
the Joker comes about because Batman has created this void. Mm-hmm. He's been so ruthless in taking down all these criminals that this slot opens up, and Joker just steps in.
For this level of mania to sort of rise. Yeah,
right.
Which tells a great story.
Yeah.
Murray, one small thing.
Yeah.
When you bring me out, can you introduce me as Joker? Send in the clowns.
I could talk about this for hours.
Anyway,
I know that you got Hustlers, and I want to hear about that movie.
Because it's a good picture, but it falls down in a few ways. Because I stayed awake for most of this one.
Yeah.
The
Hustlers.
The Hustlers. Yeah. I basically, so after we saw Joker, I basically hugged Larry. I said, I'll see you for the podcast, and I ran to make the showing for this movie Hustlers that I saw with our resident physical therapist, massage therapist, Nicole.
What?
Shout out, Nikki. So
let me read the synopsis real quick,
okay,
because I don't even know what it's about. But working as a stripper to make ends meet, Destiny's life changes forever when she becomes friends with Ramona, the club's top money earner. Ramona soon shows Destiny how to finagle her way around the wealthy Wall Street clientele who frequent the club. But when the 2008 economic collapse cuts into their profits, the gals and two other dancers devise a daring scheme to take their lives back.
I just want to take care of my grandma, maybe go shopping every once in a while.
When I was a kid, I always wanted to work with animals. I was close.
Shake a little ass, you get a little bag.
These Wall Street guys, you see what they did to this country? They stole from everybody. Hardworking people lost everything. And not one of these douchebags went to jail.
The game is rigged, and it does not reward people who play by the rules.
It's like robbing a bank, except you get the keys. Are you in?
I got
it's all of it based on true story.
Okay.
So the events of this happen in this way. So basically, exactly what it describes. And Jennifer Lopez she plays Ramona.
Okay.
And Constance Wu plays Destiny, the sort of like bright-eyed, hey, I'm just in the game to make this money. So basically, they're strippers that work in the strip club or whatever, and then the economic boom hits, and they have to find a new way. Like the Wall Street cats that would come in and just throw money at them aren't doing that anymore. So they basically devised this plan to cut the club out. Instead of like having the Wall Street guys come to the club and do that shit, they would go to them. Mm-hmm. But the hustle was that they would drug them. They would try to get them into a state where they were inebriated enough that they would sign the bill at the end of the night, for everything that they would charge on it. They'd be like, "Hey,
sign this $15,000."
So they devised this way of drugging these dudes to the point where they were like ketamine, and it was like a mixture of ketamine and something where they would drug these cats, and they would like basically just bilk them. They would just bilk these dudes, and they were doing this for a while. And this, I didn't know that this was an actual like cover story for like the Daily News.
Yeah. No, I remember now that you've said this out loud, I remember, I don't know where, but I remember hearing this in the news and hearing what the whole story was and some investigation into it. Yeah,
it was gnarly because
it was a Vice News article, something like that.
What I found interesting was that here all like everybody in this club are it's a completely diverse female cast. Like there's white girls, black girls, everybody's represented. But what was interesting to me is that, like, the way it was a good movie, but the storytelling was weird.
Okay,
the pacing was weird because they're telling a story, but it starts in the present, and then they're jumping around in these different moments or whatever, and Julia Stiles is in it because apparently the way the movie is set up, it's like the reporter, it's like they're writing this. It's like they're writing the story for the newspaper.
Okay.
So Julia Stiles plays the reporter that is coming to interview Constance Wu about what has gone down in the past. And so Constance Wu's character is recounting how she met Jennifer Ramona and kind of diagramming how we got to the news article. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know that it was a news article. You don't find out that all this sort of transpired until like the latter third, almost the end of the movie.
I see.
So the whole time I was like, I didn't know that this. I mean, I guess they tell you at the top, based on a true story,
right?
But the accounting of how they put
it's a slippery slope.
The way that they kind of put all the chronological things in order was weird. It was weird and trippy. And I think it would have served if this movie had been a little bit more gritty.
Right.
Like Lizzo makes appearances in it.
Is it PG-13 or is it rated R?
I want to say PG-13. It felt like PG-13 because all of them worked in a strip club, but I don't think I saw one boob.
Yeah. That's one of those things they do. It happens when you take celebrities.
Now, mind you got Jennifer Lopez in this in something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's almost worth the price of the ticket to see Jennifer Lopez's body right now.
How old is J-Lo, do you think?
She's got in her 50s.
Yeah.
Easily. Maybe 55.
Let's see.
She is, body-wise, running laps around motherfuckers in this movie.
1969.
You do the math, motherfucker. She's 60?
Yeah.
She's 60 years old.
Let's see. Hold on.
Yeah, because we're in 2019 right now. So 69, 79, 89, 99, 99,
59.
60, motherfucker. Yeah. You round up.
Yeah.
That bitch is...
Yeah. Wow.
And she is... Like, she looks so good in this movie. They're like, the only, like Jennifer Lopez looks so good in this movie, I wanted it to be rated R the minute I saw her. I was like, please be rated R.
Has she ever gotten... She's never gotten nude for...
No, I think she has. What was the one she did with Clooney?
Oh, you talking about the Coen Brothers movie? No, that was not her.
No. It was... She did a movie with Clooney. What the fuck was it called? I'm pretty sure she got topless for...
The Boy Next Door?
Boy Next... No, that's a lot... No. God, no. What?
It says Jennifer Lopez goes topless in most revealing sex scene for her new thriller, The Boy Next Door.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. So she must have been
I gotta check that movie out.
You might have to. But all that to say, it's unevenly paced. The pacing is uneven. They don't parse out this information really well. So by the time you get to the end, you're like, oh, so this character... So the whole premise of like the whole movie, Julia Stiles' character is interviewing Constance Wu about Jennifer Lopez's character,
right?
But they don't talk about specifics on it. You get like she'll ask her a question and then her response will be they'll show you the flashback of the events at the club taking place. So it's good because it's based in reality and and interesting because it's a bunch of women that did what they needed to do to get their bread from a bunch of like ne'er-do-wells ostensibly.
Right.
But it falls down for me for the lack of rating of the R,
right,
and this really weird pacing of the story. But it's a good picture.
Do you think it made money or not?
It made money initially, but I think with Joker being in the same month that it did, or the same month that it was, it probably has tapered off at this point to not have made. I think it probably made its money back.
So it had a budget of $20.7 million.
It made that bad.
It made $112.3 million.
Yeah.
So it was a success,
and it's still
which
October.
is great.
It's still October
because
it's a good picture.
It also has, it has a female director, Lorraine Scarafina.
It's a good picture. I'm gonna keep saying that.
Scafaria, excuse me. And Lorraine Scafaria, excuse me. She directed Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist in 2008, and then Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. That's the Steve Carell movie. Yeah, it's 2012.
It's a good picture. It's just uneven in places.
Right.
And I if you're telling me a story about strippers, I would have liked the strippers to be strippers. Yeah, a little bit more. Because
there is, this happens when I see movies about strippers. Mm-hmm. It's funny, I just remembered now, right this moment, that I came home 2 or 3 nights ago and Laurel was watching Showgirls.
I was going to say, don't say fucking show, because I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about that comparison my whole time talking about this.
So I've never seen Showgirls, and she had the last...
You've never seen it. Showgirls?
I know, which is weird because I love what's-his-face, the director...
Who's the director of it?
Oh, the same guy who did RoboCop.
No shit. No shit. The guy who directed the first RoboCop directed Showgirls?
Yes.
No wonder it was such a good
movie. Not Lars Ventura.
And we've already reviewed this, but you're never going to get that information out of my brain. You know that. You're the
yes. No, I'll get it. I'll get it in a second. But anyways, and it has what's the main girl's name?
Elizabeth Berkley from.
Is it not Elizabeth Berkley?
Yeah.
It's Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me look it up, aren't you?
I'm sure it's Elizabeth Berkley. Basically, Jesse from Saved by the Bell.
Yes, Jesse from Saved by the Bell. And the last shot is
I'm sure it's Elizabeth Berkley. Am I wrong?
No, you could be right. Is that her name? That just doesn't sound right to me.
Up.
I didn't plan on coming in here and
talking about Showgirls. One of the greatest kind of movies ever made.
That also got a sequel, 1995 erotic drama.
They made a sequel to it?
Yes. Paul Verhoeven, thank you. Oh my god.
Her name is not Paul Verhoeven.
No, but that's the director. That's I can forget her name, Elizabeth Berkley.
Motherfucker!
Yeah. No, you're right.
You got me fucked up.
Yeah. So Showgirls 2, Pennies from Heaven.
Get the fuck out of here. They made a sequel?
Focusing on the minor character of Penny, played by Rena Raphael.
What year did you say it was made?
I don't know what year that movie's made. 2011.
No shit. So they made it. I had
7 years later, they make the sequel.
Oh my god. Well, the original was so off the chain.
But there's actual full-on nudity to the point of wow, this looks
really.
Yeah, I mean, in Showgirls. I mean,
there was a lot of.
This is 95, and as Laurel explained to me, she was like, there's full on female crotch, which she was impressed by that because they weren't really
in the sequel, or are you talking about the original?
No, I'm talking about the original.
Yeah, I know that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I saw that multiple times.
Too many times.
No, not too many. Probably not enough. In fact, I may have to just rewatch it because one of the main characters is old boy from Lost.
Ooh.
The black guy with the dreads.
Oh yeah.
He was her mentor. He was the one who, when she shows up he puts her on in the Showgirl game.
Talking about Mercutio.
Yeah, Mercutio from Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, what is his name?
I don't know that actor. But he was in Oz. He's been in a lot of things.
He's so good. He's really good.
And he's really good in this movie. Because this movie is really good. It got shit on. I'm pretty sure when it came out, I think I remember it being panned by critics. Critics being
I mean, it was
shitting all over
brutalized.
it. And I completely disagree. I thought it was a very profound and amazing storytelling. And I feel like Elizabeth Berkley suffered from it because she did. She didn't work after it. I think it was her breakout film.
Yeah,
and she never. I mean, the next thing I saw her in was she had a bit role in that football movie with Al Pacino and Jamie Foxx.
I love that movie. What is it called? Man, this is when we get to towards the end
Given Sunday.
Any Given Sunday. Thank you. I think that movie's great.
It's a fantastic movie. But she plays the stripper that picks up Al Pacino in the bar in that movie, like a bit ass role, going from like
she came off as Saved by the Bell and was like, I'm going to do a big movie from the guy who did RoboCop.
This is going to catapult me, and I think it didn't. It was bad. The critics panned it, but the movie was actually better than most people gave it credit for because I think it had a cult following. Like, people really liked it.
I don't know if they really liked it. It's sort of like...
all over the place?
Yeah. I mean, basically, he did RoboCop in 87, Paul Verhoeven, Total Recall in 1990, Basic Instinct was 92. And so that was Michelle Pfeiffer, and that movie was well praised and definitely like came into the cultural zeitgeist. Then Showgirls was in 95, 3 years later.
I don't understand what was wrong with Showgirls. Has the same tonality and intricacy and level of provocativity that what did you just say?
Basic
Instinct had.
Yeah.
I don't know why that movie didn't do as well because it was a good movie despite.
Probably sexism, to be quite honest.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, from the little that I saw, and it made me actually kind of want to watch the movie. But
if you haven't, bro, you need to see it.
The little I saw this was a movie about just what it is: showgirls who sort of like something happens and they take control, and she kind of comes out as the hero at the end of the movie, right?
She basically. She shows up. It's basically like the classic Hollywood story of like, I'm gonna make it in this business by any means necessary.
Right.
But I'm from bumfuck wherever. I show up out of nowhere with my bag and my talent, and I'm gonna do this, and gets kind of railroaded off the beaten path, and has to be led into the life by a ne'er-do-well to be like, look, if you want to get ahead, you gotta be a little more ruthless. So the denouement of this picture is she managed to get herself into the course of like a Las Vegas showgirl troupe, and she basically pushes she injures the lead to take her place. And the lead basically gives her like once she recovers from the catastrophic injury that she had, she basically was like, well, that's how I got to the position. I did what you did to get here. And so basically it's like keep going.
So the difference between Showgirls and Basic Instinct is Elizabeth Berkley is the star of Showgirls, and it's about her, right?
And Michael Douglas is the star of Basic Instinct,
and the female is the murderer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're more interested.
So Sharon Stone is the object in Basic Instinct, whereas Elizabeth Berkley is the main attraction.
Yeah. So budget for Showgirls $45 million. It only made $37 million in the box office. So it was a complete bomb. Let's look at Basic Instinct here.
No, Basic Instinct killed.
Basic Instinct $49 million budget made $352.
Yeah, it killed.
Right.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's so crazy to me. It's so crazy to me because that picture is really good, and Laurel might have different opinions.
No,
about
she liked it. She was really into it.
It's a dude. If you haven't seen it, you need to. It's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Based on all the things we just talked about here and the actors that take place in it, I think Elizabeth Berkley she should have been nominated for it. To be honest, she should have been nominated for it.
We got to wrap up. So, do you give burp or fart for Joker?
Man, what's the difference? What's the in between a verb and a verb? I would say it's a verb for me.
Then in between is watch it on an airplane.
Watch it on an airplane.
Okay, I would say you don't really. I don't think when I came out of the IMAX trailer, I thought this movie looks amazing. I'm really excited to see it. I saw it.
Really?
I don't know if it holds up as a comic book movie. It doesn't hold up as a comic book movie.
It does not.
And I don't know if it holds up as a standalone Taxi Driver style movie either. To me, I don't think you need to see it in the theater. But I think
you don't need to see it in the theater.
Yeah, I think it is interesting to watch for Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, it's a masterclass in acting.
Yeah.
Like a lot of things that I watch, I'm not watching for its content. I'm watching for the people in it doing the work, because there's a lot of good work being done, even if the content isn't the most fulfilling and uplifting.
Right.
So I mean, go watch it for Joaquin. He kills. He kills. Even the old girl who plays the love interest. I like her work a lot.
She's great too.
There's a lot of people whose work in it is.
There were a lot of black women in this movie.
Yeah, one of them I know, Kim Brockington. She plays one of the reporters, like the like the news reporters, the black woman.
He only interacts with black women in the entire movie,
which is interesting.
He never has an interaction with anybody else other than his mother.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know what that says.
Yeah, I hadn't.
Especially when like he imagines all that
her
stuff.
having that.
That's another question we didn't get to, but I'm gonna think about it a little more. Was how much of this movie was imagined?
That's true.
In his head,
because
you know what I mean.
We never truly find out how much of this is sort of like in his own thing.
And the other thing is like, when a movie makes this much money, I sort of feel like it's inevitable that just like Venom, which I don't think was a good movie, which came out at the same time of year and it blew that away. What I think we'll have some sort of connection or some sort of sequel to this.
Whereas I feel like Venom wasn't a perfect film.
Yeah.
I feel like for that character, they got it right. I feel like for telling a Venom story, they got it right mostly.
Yeah.
Especially, it's hard because it's the same. This Venom had the same problems that this. If you're going to tell a Venom story, it's hard to tell a Venom story without a Spider-Man.
Exactly. It's weird. They both came out the same time of year, one after the other, year after year, and then they both avoid their
counterpoint.
Their counterpoint. Yeah. To their detriment.
To their detriment, because you only get a Venom because you have a Spider-Man.
You really only have the Joker because you have Batman. Yeah. Without those things, then
what's the point?
Joker seems to suggest that Joker created Batman.
Right.
It does. I mean, it does suggest that.
No, it does. 100%.
Which I guess
isn't the first time. Which isn't the first time. There's been precedent for this way of
1989 Batman, for example.
I don't know if it serves either of these characters in any way to have it that way.
Okay.
That's just me.
So I say, I say you don't probably need to see it in the cinema.
I would actively say don't.
If you're a huge fan of Joaquin Phoenix,
even if you're a huge fan, he's good in it.
Yeah,
but it's not. It's just it may say Joker, but it's not just him.
The only other thing is like maybe you want to see it now because everybody's talking about it, and every media news site has like everybody's talking. There's like there's so much info on this movie.
I've stayed so far away from it.
Yeah.
The only thing I read most recently was the New York Times.
Like I could talk for another hour easily about other aspects of this movie that we're just not getting to.
And I you know what I will say, I would say go see Hustlers in the theater.
Yeah.
Give that money to an all-female cast, a cogent story.
Female director.
Go support the female aspect of this movie because the story's legit. It's just parsed out weird.
Yeah. It's not a Showgirls.
It's not Showgirls.
It's
not.
Quadrupled its money.
By a lot. And
so
I would even go so far to say that like it's safe for like your preteen. Like if you got like a teenage daughter or whatever, it's okay because it's like there's little to no stripping in it.
Right.
Like
should I take Penelope?
No, probably not. She's
got drugs and men.
No, it's a little too especially that like the ketamine drugging things or whatever. At one point they take they have this bit where they take they drug this guy and he's not waking up from it.
Yeah.
So they basically take him to the ER naked and one of them pretends to be his wife and she's like hysterical and they just leave him at the ER.
Okay, so I'm not taking the kids.
Yeah, don't take the kids.
I'm your host, Lawrence Style.
And I'm your boy, Rob Karma Robinson.
Thank you so much for listening. You can throw us a buck at patreon.com/whatweinto. You can send us an email at whatweinto@gmail.com.
Hit us up.
You can check us out on Facebook at What We Into.
We like pictures.
Basically, just search What We Into. Scroll down to the bottom of this podcast. You'll see all the info there. Rob's website's on there. You can check out pictures of him.
If you want to check out like what I do as an actor, like if you want to hire me, if you want to be like, that motherfucker look like a roast beef.
You can do whatever you want.
All of it. It's all our personal information is there to harass us.
But thank you so much for listening.
We love you, and see you next week.
Later, haters.
Well, that's not a thing!
It's such a thing. Gotta go.
Yeah.